Spoiler alert. With apology to those whose grief is recent and whose pain is still on the surface, this is not your ordinary Yizkor sermon. Not that I didn't try to write one. I just can't. Not because I'm unable. After all, I have written over 100 of them. Surely I have one more left in me. I can't because 5784 won't let me. Yes, Yizkor is traditionally a service about personal loss. This year, Yizkor can't be only that service. 5784 won't allow it, because Yizkor this year has to be about what we lost. Our losses began, of course, we know, on October 7th. But it wasn't just innocent lives we lost that day and since. The way they were lost, in a frenzy of joyful, prideful wantonness, cost us our faith in civilization. We lost the belief that we no longer live in a world that justifies, no, celebrates barbarism. And the loss didn't stop there. As Rabbi Hayon pointed out last night, Israel did not respond for 3 weeks. Before a bullet was fired, before a tank crossed the border, before a single Hamas fighter was killed, Israel was being blamed for what happened on October 7th. The victim being blamed for the actions of the perpetrator. We lost the belief that there was a word common in common sense that has meaning. Marches sprang up all over the world, signs saying, "Women for Hamas," "Gays for Hamas," not women and gays for Palestinians, for Hamas. We lost any sense, any belief that the world can grasp and identify truth. On college campuses, students were marching with signs that read "From the river to the sea," without ever bothering to learn that it is a 21st century version of Judenrein. Jewish students were targeted for discrimination by fellow students. America's best and brightest were on fire with demonstrations calling for the genocide of the Jewish people. How do we have faith in a generation that is destined to be the future leaders? And when the presidents of those universities excused that behavior before Congress, it depends on the context. We asked ourselves, does that mean you are teaching them that there is a context to call for genocide? We lost faith that day in the educational institutions that are supposed to teach those future leaders not just knowledge, but mores and ethics and the value of human decency. One professor published an open letter to his students after seeing the demonstrations, apologizing for failing to teach them basic right and wrong. I could go on, but you know I don't need to. You feel the losses as much as I do. At heart, what we have really lost is that the feeling that the world, especially America, is a safe place for Jews to live. I cannot count the number of people who have said to me since October 7th, "I'm beginning to think about where to go to be safe if the anti-Semitism increases." In the months now adding up to over a year since October 7, we are all still numbed. We know from personal loss that finding the words to describe how we feel is part of healing. But how do we heal? When, as Rabbi Angela Bookdahl said on the Shabbat after October 7, there are no words. It's a year later, and there are still no words. 5784 is a memory seared in our minds and in the minds of the world forever. History will record the events last year in words that depict what happened. But like all atrocities, there are no words to capture our sense of loss. So what are we to do? As in personal life, we have to somehow build around our losses, even when we cannot put words on them. How do we do that? I propose we turn, as our people have always turned, to the words we do know, the words we do have that tell us once again how to persevere, words that tell us how to live meaningfully and celebrate the covenanted journey we are on together as a people. Words that give us direction and help us to build positive lives around, yes, painful and even devastating experiences. And those words I know where to find. They're handwritten on the parchment in the Torah behind me. They're printed in the prayer books that we used all day to pray. They're printed in the Talmud as our ancestors strove to outline a way of life endorsed by God, and in the commentaries that strive to bring those words into the future. Some of them are even inscribed. On the walls of this temple. Do justly, love mercy, walk humbly with God, even if others don't. Be a light unto the nations. Be a light. Shine. Show the world one more time what it means to emerge from darkness. Show the world one more time that tragedy, personal and shared, can be overcome. Show the world one more time that while we deeply regret the suffering and the death of so many innocent Palestinians, never again is a universal imperative that begins with us. Show the world one more time that we will use the words we do have, words I remind you that civilization itself is built on, to live with meaning and purpose as we strive to make this world a better place despite our losses and despite our indescribable pain. Our shared losses in 5784, like all of our personal memories, are part of us. To heal, we must integrate them into our lives so we can move forward. We cannot allow the pain of our indescribable losses, even though we have no words for them, to divert us from being who we are, from living a life inspired by the words we do have, to make our lives and the world we live in a better place for all. And so I end Ken Yehi Ratzon. Let it be God's will. And And let it be our commitment to all who died that day and to all who continue to suffer. And to this, please God, let us say, Amen.